Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're talking about Bobby Big.
That's right, Johnny, except it's kind of the opposite of Bobby Big. It's Robert Smalls, but halfway there.
Oh.
So I'm going to preface this right off the bat. Allegedly, there's a movie in the works for this guy, but how there hasn't already been a Hollywood movie made about this guy? Oh, well, I mean, I know,
Wait.
but...
An entirely original movie is in the works, allegedly, about...
Allegedly, it's not going to...
About anything?
It's being made by Amazon Prime, so, hold your breath on it.
All right, well, we'll see.
But,
I think the sayings don't hold your breath.
Robert Smalls was born a slave, and he's going to rise from slave to the literal riches of being an entrepreneur and congressman. So, I mean...
Oh, God. So, this is like... It's not the American dream, because obviously born a slave is not in the American dream, but it's kind of the wet dream of the
yes,
Reconstructionists, right? Like
that's the wet
proper
that's
the
man lives.
I missed it.
An epic life. You missed it, John. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to move on.
Damn it.
Robert Smalls, born into slavery in 1839 in Bayfort, South Carolina. His mother, Lydia Polite. She's going to be...
Spell it out. Spell it.
It's Polite. It's polite.
Polite.
Yeah. She's enslaved by a man by the name of Henry McKee. She's going to give birth in a very dirty small cabin behind the McKee home. She is actually a house slave.
How do you know
the
it's
McKee.
dirty? Did she? Is she a bad housekeeper?
No, I'm just gonna say it's got dirt floors and it's not
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, but maybe it's packed clay and polish.
It is South
Carolina.
Carolina.
What it's like.
It's probably
You're editorializing here, Tom.
I am.
Facts.
That is me saying it's
in a small cabin.
He's born in a small cabin without medical attention because they are slaves, and despite the McKee favoring Lydia here.
Well, so he probably put her in his nicest dirt floor, disease-ridden cabin.
Maybe, yeah. Now, we don't know who...
Wrap that baby up in the roughest wool blankets he had.
Now, right? Now, we don't know who the dad of Robert Smalls is, but Johnny...
don't we?
McKee favors Smalls so much that Lydia actually has to encourage him, like, hey, I feel that he doesn't really understand what slavery is and that he's a slave and that that's not a good thing. So can you please send him out to the field and work at least a day?
So he's raising him as a child, or at least
it's
I mean, probably in his so the way he's seeing it, he's probably not saying, oh, this is a child. It's an entertainment piece that he's keeping around. He's got a fun little toddler that he kind of loves a little bit running around. Right?
McKee is
that's kind of what it seems like.
McKee is definitely Smalls' father. There really isn't any real question about it. The way he's treated, the fact that we don't know who the dad is, fucking come on.
We know. We know. Anytime anybody says, "Oh, we don't know who this slave's father," we don't know the father of this slave. You want to know why? It's because it was some white dude. Because guess what? If it was some
other slave,
I hate everything I'm going to say. But if it was some prime slave specimen that is this big old black burly guy, they're going to say that's the father. Look at the breeding
get
stock,
more money,
because they're garbage fucking people, and that's how this. I hate it, but that's what it would have been. If they didn't know, they knew.
So he is going to be sent out into the fields to witness slavery and all of its cruelty. He doesn't get beat, but obviously the other slaves in the field
but he sees people that are that look like him, that are his brethren, that are also people a little bit. It's
that aren't
treated poorly. That sticks with you a little. I feel. I don't know. I'm not a child psychologist. Maybe some of you can chime in if you are, but. As a child, does seeing people severely beaten, abused, and forced into slave labor and forced work, does that mess up a child's
I think that messes up a child
in any way?
A little bit, yeah. Now, at the age of 12, Johnny, he's going to be hired out as a laborer and sent to Charleston for $16 a week. He is actually allowed to keep $1 of that for himself, which is I mean, that's
$1 a week. Can we? Do we know? Do I have to look this up?
You're gonna have to look this up as we go. It's
What
$1 a
year
week
are we
in
at? What year are we at?
1851. There you go. That's what you're looking for. Anyways, he's allowed to keep $1 of that. The other $15 goes to McKee. He's going to work in hotels. Eventually, he's going to get a job as a lamplighter, and then eventually he finds his way into working at the docks in Charleston Harbor. He's going to become a longshoreman, making rigging and sails, and eventually even becomes a wheelman, which is one of the guys who helps pilot said vessels. At the age of 17, he's going to marry Hannah Jones, who's an enslaved hotel maid in 1856. He becomes a stepfather to her 2 children. A little bit of a cougar. He's going after. She's a little bit older than he is. Or he has 2 children.
Sorry, Google thought I actually had a coin from 1851, which is worth $30,000 to $40,000.
No, that's
depending
not.
on the condition.
No, that's
well,
not.
3 to 4, I don't know. But in any case, it's about $40 a week.
That's not great.
$40.
$40 a week.
That's nothing. That's not. That's you go fuck yourself for $40 a week.
Yeah.
Go to hell. Straight to it.
So he becomes a
even
stepfather.
in the 80s or 60s or 50s or 40s.
Yeah, you can still fuck yourself for that. Yeah. He becomes a stepfather to 2 children. He does have his first biological child being born in 1858. He's going to have a son 3 years later, but that child would actually die at the age of 2. So unfortunately, he does have more children after that. Unfortunately, sadly, his first wife will pass away and he'll get remarried, but that's not really important to the story. Small's ultimate goal
fuck that girl.
Well,
woman,
bear with me. His ultimate goal is to actually buy his family.
With you. Oh God, are you okay?
Huh?
How big? How big
What?
is the bear? How big is the bear?
Oh,
I'm gonna do this every fucking time.
Every time I say bear with
never
me.
Gonna,
All right.
never
Yeah,
gonna stop.
It's great. His ultimate goal is to buy the family their freedom, which is going to cost him a total of $800, which is he's never going to make that.
That's a lot. Well, at $40 a freaking or $1 a week.
Yeah. He's at the time that he's trying to
cow.
save up enough money to buy his family when he's got his wife, his stepchildren, and his own biological children. He makes an arrangement that he could buy them for $800, which, to be fair, for that many people is a really low sum of money, but it's still an unheard of amount of money for him. What?
I mean, it's a bargain when you think about it. You're getting
I'm not.
How many human beings? How many
I realize I'm being an ass here,
getting?
but it's
$200
leaning,
per human person's a good deal.
Johnny, I'm leaning into the fact that McKee, that's his son, and he's trying to give his son a bargain.
Do you think that people up the price if they knew they were being purchased for freedom?
Probably, yeah. They didn't
because they're gonna pay more, right? You know what I mean?
Damn it, Johnny, you're gonna get
because they're not looking at because here's the thing, they're not looking at how good of a worker they might be.
So you're gonna get me down on a sidebar tangent. And
this is a dangerous episode we're doing, Tommy.
What I'm gonna say here is
dangerous.
what I'm gonna say here is that the South is a feudal society. There's aristocracy. There's slave. The whole goal is that you want to be a noble by owning. Feudal. Yeah.
Futile. Also a futile, but you see where my confusion lies.
So you wanna the nobility is your slave owning class. You want to work your way up.
Clearly, right.
Yes. By giving a slave their freedom, it starts to disrupt that hierarchy system. So there are some areas where
you're removing currency, essentially.
Yeah, essentially. But you're also taking a slave and then a peasant and then allowing them to go above peasant, and we don't like that. Because then are they on the same level as
mobility is bad.
Are they on the same level as a white non-slave owner? Because then that's crazy. Can't do that.
That's actually literally why the war was fought, and because they didn't want them to be on their same level. And they're like,
so I'm
willing to die to be the second worst type of peasant in this country.
So you'll get more freemen around the border states, and then you'll get more freemen in New Orleans, where it's not the same slave culture. It's more of a class system. But then you get like where it's like vehemently like if they find out that they're going to be sold and then like freed, they would actually be sold to like the deep south instead, like Mississippi, which is why like all of a sudden Mississippi has an influx of slavery because like as the border states and stuff are starting to free them because they're like abolitionism is a thing and we're starting to think that that's better. They go no, we'll buy them instead.
And I don't know how much truth there is to this, but at some point there's going to be the slave owners taking a look around and kind of gauging where everything is headed and looking at kind of what all their little neighbors and everything are saying and thinking about them. And slavery is kind of going by the wayside and people are starting to really think negatively of it. And there's going to be at least a couple of the smaller ones that are
going to sell
to that, that are like, you know what, fine, all right, we're going to get ahead of this, all right, I get it, I see the writing on the wall and all that, we'll stop doing that. I'm going to retire anyway, we'll just, write the slaves out of the will to the kids, I guess, instead they'll just get the other livestock.
Yeah.
Pieces of shit.
Well, anyways, Johnny.
Remember, even the ones that freed them willfully, still pieces of shit.
Yep, yeah, because they still owned them at some point.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. The whole lot of them.
Johnny,
who's ever owned a slave.
We got to get back to Robert Smalls. This video is never going to end otherwise.
Who?
The guy that we're talking about. The war is going to kick off, Johnny. The Civil War is going to kick off in Charleston Harbor at the Siege of Fort Sumter. Smalls is going to be put to work steering the CSS Planter. So he, again...
A mule died, right?
For you lost causers, he is not a combatant. He is not officially a member of the Confederate Navy. He is a slave who's piloting the boat for the white men as a slave. So he's piloting the CSS Planter, which is a lightly armed transport vessel that's used to survey the waters, lay mines.
Planter? Go.
Yeah, I know. It's used to survey the waters, lay mines, and deliver dispatches. Through the fall and winter of 1861, he's going to steer this vessel, gaining the confidence of the other enslaved crew members while they went up and down the rivers between South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. In April of 1862, he begins his plan to escape, and he's going to see the Union blockade that's only 7 miles offshore going, hey, if I can get this boat there somehow, freedom. He's the one who knows how to pilot the boat. He's the one who's put in charge of piloting the boat. So at some point, it's just, I'm going to go that way. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right?
No, because if anybody else knew how to do it, they'd do it.
He starts talking to the other enslaved crew members minus one. The one that they don't include in on it is the one that's going to like not side with them and gain favor from the white people by like
guys? What's the term for that?
Uncle Tom?
Is that an Uncle Tom?
I think that's an Uncle Tom, yeah.
Is it? Okay. Because I never know. I didn't.
I think that's the Uncle Tom, yeah.
I'm familiar, like I've heard it and used, but I don't know exactly.
Although after I read the book, that doesn't really quite make sense. It doesn't.
That's why.
Sidebar. Doesn't matter. We're getting distracted. Continue.
Oh, Tommy, I did not tell you that I had started drinking before we started recording this. So.
Well, it's going to be a long one. Buckle up, guys. On May 12th, 1862, the planter actually travels 10 miles southwest of Charleston to Coles Island, where the planter is going to pick up 4 cannons to be transported to Charleston Harbor. They're dismantling a fort. They're taking the guns from that fort and moving it to a different fort in Charleston Harbor.
Okay. Yeah.
The 3 white officers plan on disembarking to spend the night on shore, which is a normal thing that they did. And then Smalls asks the crew, hey, look, since you guys are going ashore, would it be possible, since we're in Charleston, if we can have our families come and visit us on the boat for the night? Which also isn't completely unheard of. The 3 white crew members said, yeah, sure, just make sure they're gone by curfew because, it's curfew and we don't want them to get lynched. Because they were out past curfew.
Oh, okay.
Because
then they would lose the morale. What? Because
no, the family, they're slaves, Johnny. They can't be out past curfew.
No, I get that, but like, why?
Or they get killed.
All right, Confederates all of a sudden caring about these folks is what's getting.
Well, sure.
It's odd. It's very.
All right, Chuddy. When the 3 white officers leave, the crew's families arrive. Smalls reveals a plan to the families, which is the first the families have ever heard of this. Imagine like your wife, like coming to you at work one day, and you'd be like, "All right, listen, we're gonna steal everything in this fucking building."
Yeah. Oh, hey, honey, I love to
Sure.
see you. Oh, I love that you're piloting the boat. We get a little tour. Would love to have some dinner. And I'm sorry, what?
We're taking this shit. This part of the plan makes no sense.
We are pirates now. We are now going to pirate this ship, steal it, and be fugitives from the slave owners that own us.
Yeah. So this part of the plan is a little weird.
Hey,
I don't understand it,
okay.
but before the curfew's out, 3 of the crew members pretend to take the families home, but they stow them away on a steamer docked in the North Atlantic Wharf. Why they just don't stay on the boat, I don't know, but they do this.
It does seem odd.
It seems like an odd step that didn't need to be taken.
Is it part of just trying to make everything seem everything?
I think maybe
like
that's
a normal type. Hey, cool. We're gonna. It'll look
probably
like
because
leaving,
curfew's before dark, and they're so they see the families.
We'll see some people leave, and they'll go back, then they go up into. Yeah. I assume it's just the next boat up the river or whatever, down the river.
Yeah. It's just one right down, like it's on the dock.
Yeah.
It's just it's an unmanned boat. At 3 a.m., Smalls and 7 of the 8 enslaved crew members, they're going to take over the planter. Smalls put on the captain's spare uniform, wears a straw hat just like the captain, and he knows the captain's mannerisms, so he starts pretending to be the captain's mannerisms. Again, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, can't see shit. You're not going to know if he's white or black, anyways. Smalls guides the ship past the 5 Confederate forts without incident, picks up his family and the family of the other enslaved men, and then they ride out towards Fort Sumter. He copies the captain's mannerisms.
Not waking up anybody, not causing an alarm, not raising any bells.
Nope. He's doing the right. There's like steam whistle, like call signals.
Yeah, this dude's got a video game life.
Yeah,
this is a video game mission, like an escape mission. Like you got to go pick up 2 families and then get down the river without being caught. Don't let the alarms see you. Don't let the little spotlights or whatever. Like.
So at 4 a.m., they pass Fort Sumter, heading towards the Union blockade. The alarm only rings out at Fort Sumter after the planter had actually cleared the gun range. So the guys from Fort Sumter are like, oh, they gave the proper call signals. That's fine. Hey, why are they going out towards the Union boats? Hey, you're not supposed to go out towards the Union boats. Raise the alarm. Get the guns up. Yeah. Oh, shit, they're too far gone now. Well, we tried. Well, they gave us the right call signals. We don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll shoot some shells into the water later.
So Smalls on the planter, he drops down the Confederate flag, raises a white bed sheet, which, by the way, white bed sheet, white dish towels, seems like the best Confederate flag you could possibly have.
It's the most popular one for sure. I think
it definitely is the most popular one for sure, yeah. He is spotted by the USS Onward, which they actually, the men on the Onward order all crews to positions, battle stations, and they all load the guns, and they're actually prepared to fire on the planter until they notice the bed sheet. Which, again, like that's kind of ballsy because it's 4 o'clock in the morning, there's no sun up.
Maybe it was
kind of hard to see a bed sheet.
Maybe full moon.
Might have been a full moon, yeah.
Because, there was a full moon. God, my brother came to camp out a little bit ago, and there was a full moon, and I was getting pissed off because, I'm like, hey, it's really cool out here. You can see all the stars and shit. But we'd look up, and, it was casting shadows, the moon was, of, trees and shit. And I'm like, you can't see shit because it's like a goddamn sun. So maybe it was one of those nights.
Might have been a full moon. So the Onward's Captain John Nichols actually boards the planter where Smalls asks for a U.S. flag to display, and he surrenders the planter to the U.S. Navy. Smalls escapes. His escape plan, it works. He delivers 4 heavy cannons to the Union Army. The CSS planter itself, its small complement of guns, and 200 pounds of ammunition, which, to be fair, that's like 20 rounds. It's not. It sounds more impressive than it actually is. Because each cannon's like a 10-pound gun, so it's like
of cannon ammunition. Because how much is a ball? 8 pounds or something?
About 10 pounds, yeah, give or take.
10 pounds.
Yeah.
So okay, so 20 of them.
Yeah, as I said, it's about 20 rounds. Let's not.
Box.
It's not a box of ammo.
Ammunition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also in the loot was Captain of the Planters' code books, maps of the mines and torpedoes that have been laid in Charleston Harbor. In addition to all of that, Smalls tells the U.S. Navy like where all the mines are, in addition to the ones that aren't mapped yet. He goes, I know where everything is, and he starts working with the U.S. Navy to lay it all out for him.
All right. Okay. How?
Because he was laying them. Johnny, that you missed that part earlier.
No, that's fine. I get it. Fine, cool. You send me out into a field.
Oh, and then lay some mines and then like go back there later and be like, where are the mines at? Yeah,
and then tell me to tell somebody where those 50 things are a day later. Guess how many of them we're finding?
Well, Johnny, I think you might imbibe in an element that affects
you can't
memory.
Tell me no unless he's autistic. You can't tell me he has that kind of memory.
Might be. You don't know, Johnny. He might have been. In any case, forwards all that on to him. The planner's going to be forwarded along with Smalls and the crew to Port Royal, where Smalls, like I said, gives all the details that he can to the Union Navy. Smalls is informed by the Union that a few thousand troops, or he informs the Union, that a few thousand troops are the only ones that remain in the Charleston Harbor, that they've actually undermined the whole area, that they've dismantled several of the forts, including the ones that are on Coles Island, and that has been abandoned, which actually leads to the island being captured on May 20th by the Union forces. So great there. Captain DuPont is so impressed with all the information that he's got from Smalls that he sends that information to headquarters and asks for him to be put into service as a pilot of the U.S. Navy.
Yeah, head pilot or whatever.
Just
this guy
make him a boat. He's like already knows how to pilot a boat. Make him a boat pilot. Small story obviously spreads quickly in the northern newspapers. Congress quickly passes a bill giving Smalls and the crew prize money for the vessel. Smalls' share of that prize money was $1,500 or $46,000 a day. Not too shabby.
Okay, all right. That's not
too shabby.
I'm not going to turn my nose up at that or anything.
Nope.
But this sounds. It's starting to sound a bit like the Union started to take advantage of his story a little bit and use it for a whole
they do.
lot of propaganda.
It is there's some propaganda
and
there.
I'm guessing a little bit of it may have gotten exaggerated or bastardized during the telling. Not saying he didn't do the incredible things that he did. I'm saying that he probably
the impact gets exaggerated a little bit, probably.
Yeah, perhaps.
Confederate newspapers, obviously, Johnny, they call for his head. The 3 white officers that were in charge of the planner that got off the planner, they're all tried for treason. None of them are actually really convicted of it or anything, but they are tried for treason.
Is that a little bit of a dog and pony show?
It was a dog and pony show. That one was a dog and pony
show. They technically broke the law, but what are
you going to do? We need the bodies for the war.
You see what we're going to do? So, one of those.
Smalls is going to begin service underneath DuPont in the U.S. Navy. It is confusing whether he's officially a part of the U.S. Navy or if he's just a civilian. There are reasons for that. This only lasts for about 2 seconds because Major... bear with me.
Bear with you.
It's not behind me, Major General David Howard, who's the commander at Port Royal, is going to actually send Smalls to D.C. in August of 1962 to persuade Lincoln to allow men of color to fight for the Union. That's where the discrepancy is. Because technically it's not legal for him to fight for him. So is he a civilian? Okay. Is he not civilian? All that fun stuff. Yes.
Right. So it's really just splitting technical hairs.
That's exactly what it is.
As far as what we're going to label him as. He was an active military fighter. He was what he was. He was being utilized as a soldier.
We're splitting hairs. Yeah.
And it's just, what do we kind of consider him based on what was moral and legal and ethical or whatever the fuck they considered at the time.
Yeah. He's going to become the pivotal speaker in this movement and actually helps persuade Stanton, Secretary of War Stanton, to order 5,000 free men of color into service at Port Royal. Smalls is then going to work as a civilian or military naval personnel until March of 1963, when he requests to be transferred to the Army, which he was, but not really because he gets put right back on boats. So it's like, is he the Army? Is he the Navy? It's this really confusing gray.
All right, so he's the Army guy that does the water bits of the Army.
Yeah, he's like, I want to go to the Army, and they're like, yeah, sure, you got it. And he gets to the Army, and they're like, you know how to pilot a boat? Back on a boat.
Yeah, we actually need somebody to drive around our Army men.
Yes,
as it turns out.
Yeah.
So, you mind taking them up and down river?
Now, by Small's account, and based on what we can actually verify, he was involved in 17 different engagements during the Civil War, including sections where he was a pilot of the Crusader underneath Captain Alexander Rhind. He was later transferred to the ironclad, the USS Keokuk, which is again underneath Captain Rhind, where he takes place in the attack of Fort Sumter on April 7th, 1863. This is one of the many, many, many bombardments we have of Fort Sumter. Follow Civil War in hindsight if you want to learn in excruciating detail how much ammunition we wasted leveling that fort.
A lot.
A lot.
It turns out.
The Keokuk
wasted
is actually going to...
is the key word, though.
Yeah, wasted, yeah. The Keokuk is actually going to sink the morning after that battle. He's then transferred to the USS Isaac Smith, where he takes part in the expedition on Morris Island. By December of 63, Smalls is piloting the Planter again. Coming around for full circle.
My God, this guy is just fucking... He is...
all over the place.
Okay, all right, so, I'm sorry. I know that this is... Who cares? I don't care. I don't care. If you're here, you appreciate that we do these long, stupid episodes.
Yeah.
Thank you to all 300 of you that will watch us.
Yeah.
But was it common that was there a level of troop that would move around a lot, like whatever? Or
I think on a boat, it's probably...
How rare is it that he is doing all of these things in all these different places? Or is that what it was?
So, I think on a boat, it's probably more common than on like if you're in the infantry and you're like a part of like the 32nd Indiana, you're probably going to be a part of the 32nd Indiana. Unless you're getting promoted up and out of that unit to command something else, you're probably staying in that regiment. Unless that regiment gets like its ass kicked to the point where it's so low that it gets forwarded to another one.
Is uncommon.
I don't know about the Navy. I don't have a lot of experience with that end of it. So maybe it's... But he's moving a lot of ships. He is definitely moving on a lot of ships.
Because that seems inefficient. I mean, it's really what I'm getting at is as a unit, as a military, as a thing that wants people working together as a whole bit, it seems... scattering them around.
It does seem...
I guess he's being a bit used as a consultant.
Probably a little bit.
Perhaps.
You got to remember, he's a man of color.
Where he's being moved around in order to kind of get his fingers in things and make them better.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know.
It does seem odd that he's being moved around a lot. But
I did not fight in the Civil War or any war ever.
Right.
And so I don't know how military works.
Now, on December 1st, Johnny, he's actually going to get involved in an engagement where the Confederate batteries at Secessionville opened fire on their vessel. The captain of the Planter.
At Secessionville?
That's the name of the city, yeah, Secessionville. I know. I didn't name it, Johnny. I didn't name it.
Whatever. Fine. But all right, so he's all right.
He's getting fired on by Confederate batteries. The captain of the Planter, Captain Nickerson, actually is going to flee the pilot house, order his crew to surrender, like abandon ship. And Smalls is like, I don't think you understand. Half the crew is of color. I'm of color. If we surrender, we're going to get killed. Especially me, because I stole this boat and I'm using it as a pirate boat against the Confederates. So, like,
yeah, that's
I'm
not
definitely going to get killed.
Captain Nickerson.
Yeah. So he says, I'm not going to do that, and he actually successfully gets the Planter out of that engagement, back off to the safety.
Because guess what? When surrendering is not an option,
you get yourself out of there.
Or you get away.
Yeah, you get away. He got away.
It's one or the other.
For his efforts, Johnny, he is reportedly promoted to captain of the Planter by Gilmore, who's one of the commanders in the area, and he's made, you're the captain, which is unheard of because he's a man of color.
The current captain of the Planter.
No, not the current captain. The current captain ran away. He fled. He jumped off the boat. He's gone. Boop.
All right, so he
He surrendered
bailed.
himself.
All right. So he didn't replace anybody that was like
good. No,
he replaced somebody who was probably the worst captain because literally everybody knows the first rule of being a captain is you go down.
You go down with your ship. Yeah,
that's it. That's literally the first rule.
He did
of
the
being
opposite.
A captain.
Yeah. He did the opposite. So he's
I have twin nephews that were born 8 months ago that know
you go down.
You go down with your goddamn ship.
Yeah.
If you're captain.
So Johnny, he's acting captain of the planter. In May of 1864, he's in Philadelphia with a planter for refitting when he's riding public transit, and he's asked to give up a seat for a white man on that transit. He does in a humiliating fashion. There's kind of public outcry, but when this gets into the newspapers, because like, hey, he's not only is he serving the U.S. military.
Oh, so he's dressed. I'm
assuming he's dressed. So not only is he serving,
because if there's going to be public outcry, little tabloid-esque magazine reports, they knew.
Yeah, he's dressed, and then on top of that, this is a dude that stole the planter and like turned it over to us. Like he is a hero, and you made him give up a seat. This actually winds up being a specific cited incident in 1867 when the state legislature in Pennsylvania passes a bill to integrate public transit and like prevent that shit from happening. Like, so. And that's
all right. Wait. Hold on. So okay. So this was an incident that was cited during the
67.
court case.
Yes.
Law to
public transit
integrate public transit.
Yeah. Post-war. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
You got it. Following it.
Yep.
Back into the past.
Yep.
December 64, the planter moves to support Sherman's army in Savannah. With his final return to Charleston Harbor in 65, the ceremonial raising of the American flag there after the war's over. Now, it needs to be pointed out that his position in the U.S. Navy/Army is a little bit disputed as to whether he served and had official rank or not. Articles published during his life stated that he was not able to hold the rank of captain in the Navy because he didn't graduate from the Naval Academy, so he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the 1st South Carolina Volunteers, which we have that there. That way he got the same pay as a captain of the Navy.
All right. So what's happening, and I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong, but what seems to be happening is we have a bunch of fucking people who are saying, hey, by the letter of the law, this guy didn't do this because he was technically not allowed to. But then at the time, we had people saying, hey, I don't give a about the letter of the law. This dude's a goddamn captain. He
did his shit.
Rank.
Make him get paid his shit.
And we're going to give it to him.
Yeah.
And he got it and he had it. But then historically people are like, oh, you know what? Actually, at the time, it wouldn't have been possible for him to be awarded that. Because this is how all of you sound, by the way. It wouldn't have been possible for him to be awarded that because it didn't even exist for a man of color at the time. And so they couldn't have done it. And they definitely did it because everybody follows the law all the time and only do things by the book. You nerds.
That's exactly what happened,
Guess what? This guy was a goddamn captain and everybody recognized him as one.
Now, he was
probably
he
more.
was
what were the better things that he should have been recognized for or whatever?
He was promoted by General Gilmore in 63, but that was said to be unofficial as he was considered to be a civilian in both the Navy and the Army. The truth is later out that he went
to yourself. What this official unofficial? I hate it.
Well, so Johnny, you got to bear with
finish it. I hate it though.
Let me get through it. He actually goes to get his Navy pension. He learns that he was never officially commissioned in the Navy when he goes to get his pension. But in 1883, a bill is passed by a committee to put his name on the retired Navy list, but that is blocked allegedly due to his race. In 1897, Congress is actually going to wind up going back and granting Smalls a pension of $30 per month, which is equal to the rank of a Navy captain. So he gets his... So by 1897, he was officially like, yes, he was a captain. He did all this shit. It's official.
How old was he?
Give the man his fucking pension.
How old was
he? 60s by that point, I think. In 1900, it's actually determined...
Did they give him back pay?
Well, that's his pension. So, probably not.
No. No? How do you think... What do you think a pension is? Tell me what you think
retire?
a pension is.
You retire, right? And that you get paid when you retire?
An amount of money that you've earned goes into a little bit of an account, and then you get a pension. Yeah. He didn't
I think
get
he got
back pay.
paid. I don't think there was any dispute that he got paid during the war. He was getting paid during the war.
The right amount?
Johnny, speaking of the right
That's
amount,
what I'm saying.
so hold
God
on.
damn it.
So in 1900,
But
it's
now
determined.
we're getting into the early 1900s, where now we start getting into the whole, slavery wasn't so bad. They learned skills. We're going to reteach history bits.
Johnny, in 1900, it's determined by Congress that the value of the prize awarded to Smalls was too low for the planter, as it was a more important vessel than what it was like. It was valued too low. So they give him an additional $5,000 in 1900 to compensate, and the rest of the crew too, but his share is $5,000 in 1900. Additional $5,000. Now, post-war, Johnny, this is where it gets really fun. Get ready for this. You're going to be excited at this part. Very first thing he does post-war is he goes to his old master's house and he buys it.
Hold up. $5,000
in 1900. Yeah.
In the all right, okay, all right. They did him okay. That's $187,679.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's not bad.
Purchasing power.
Purchasing power. Yeah. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
All right. Johnny, okay. All right. That's
first thing he does. Post-war, he goes back to his old house, Johnny, and he winds up buying his master's old house from the Union Tax Authority.
Yeah, because you know what I would do if I was given suddenly $187,000?
Buy my fucking old master's house. Yeah, that property was seized in 1863 because McKee refused to pay federal taxes. So when they got to South Carolina, like, that's our property now because you didn't pay the back taxes, so it's ours now.
Yeah.
McKee is going to sue. He's going to sue the federal government for ownership back in court. Smalls actually is able to retain the ownership in court, which is fucking unheard of.
Can you imagine the ironclad case you must have to convince
you didn't pay your taxes,
people
dude.
at that time that
Don't give
you
a shit.
as a black man are more entitled to a piece of property than some white dude?
Than the original white owner, yeah. Because you didn't pay your taxes, man. Sorry about you.
The evidence he must have had, like, he must have gone in there and just, like, good God.
He actually gets reunited with his mother. His mother actually is going to live with him until her death at that property.
What?
He's going to spend 9 months learning to read, then opening a school in Baymont for African-American children. He opens a store to serve free men and invests heavily in industry in Charleston, Baymont area. He even owns a newspaper in Baymont called the Bayfort Southern Standard starting in 1872.
He learned to read in 9 months?
Yeah. If all of that, Johnny, isn't crazy enough.
The entirety of the southern United States hasn't learned how to read in 160 goddamn years. And
if this isn't crazy enough.
Hey, if you all want to prove me wrong, go ahead and pick out an 8th grade novel and fucking read it and email me a book report on it, you illiterate motherfuckers.
Johnny's not wrong. Like 56% can't read above a 6th grade level? And that's the entirety of the United States. So that's not just the South, but that's the entirety of the United States.
You're really dragging down the average, though, Mississippi.
Mississippi probably isn't helping anything, yeah. Now, Johnny, I got to recap this for the viewers at home. This isn't crazy enough. The man was born into slavery. He steals a Confederate vessel, frees his family and his crew's family, serves honorably in the U.S. Navy through multiple engagements, buys his own slave owner's house from him because it was seized from the tax authorities.
That's the most hardcore thing you could ever do.
Becomes a prominent businessman owning storefronts, newspapers, opens up a school for African-American children. If all that's not enough, in 1868, he's going to be elected to the South Carolina House of Representatives, where he works to create South Carolina's and the nation's first compulsory public school.
Say it again. Say that entire fucking sentence again. A little bit slower and a little bit more clearer. In 1868. Man in what year?
A black man in 1868 is elected to South Carolina, a former slave state's House of Representatives, not the national yet, but he's at the state level, House of Representatives. He then works on a bill that gets passed to form the first compulsory public school in the nation, but it was for South Carolina, but it was in the nation in 1868. Fucking amazing. In 1870, he gets elected.
All right. Wait. I'm sorry. But I'm kind of not. Because I want to remind anybody who's still sticking around, who's still watching this, who still wants to learn about this absolutely kind of ridiculous human being. Former slave. Former slave. Born into slavery. Can you imagine the number of people that were born into and died in slavery that had this man's type of drive, charisma, ability, whatever it is that he has that allows him to do these incredible things? The number of people we must have killed in slavery
that could have been this
worthy and capable enough to do these types of things is got to be a sickening number.
Sickening number, yeah. Johnny, in 1870, he gets elected to the South Carolina Senate. In 1875, he's elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in the 5th District of South Carolina. Gets elected again in 1882 to the 5th District. Gets elected to the 7th District in 1884. In his political career, he introduces bills for the Homestead Act, civil rights movements. While in the state office, he is appointed to a lieutenant colonel position of the 3rd Regiment of South Carolina State Militia, later being promoted to the brigadier general in the 2nd Division of South Carolina State Militia. While in the U.S. House of Representatives, he fights for years not to remove U.S. troops from the South, former slave states, fearing that the KKK and Democrats would use violence to suppress free men of color. In the Compromise of 1877, which he was opposed to, the U.S. government removes its forces, essentially ending Reconstruction from the states, which, of course, the Democrats then immediately use violence and election fraud to take South Carolina back. They try and convict Smalls of taking a bribe 5 years prior for a printing contract that was likely false, but the charges are going to be dropped in exchange for dropping election fraud charges on the Democrats. Politics never fucking change. Despite that, he continues to get elected to other positions. By the Spanish-American War...
What the fuck? This is insane.
By the Spanish-American War, he's actually offered a colonelship for the United States African-American Regiment. So this is an actual government federal commission as a colonel. He has to turn it down, though, because he has diabetes. Instead, he takes a Minister of Liberia position instead, which is basically where he ends his political career. The man lives this amazing, wonderful life filled with family. His first wife, unfortunately, passes away, but he does marry another wife. He's survived by his children. He's going to die in 1915 at the age of 75 over complications of malaria and diabetes. But, 75 years old, starting his life as a slave and ending as a very prominent member of the United States House of Representatives. This man should have had a movie years and years and years ago.
Where's the statue?
Where's everything? I mean,
any note about him? This is obviously the first time I've ever heard of him.
There are books and there are other things about him that are out there, but
if you dig
not
deep
in popular
into
media.
Civil War, into Reconstruction, into African American history, if you're one of the people that digs deep enough into any of this, I'm sure you can find all sorts of works about this man. But that should not be the case. You should not have to dig so deep to find these stories.
He was the only, by the way, he was the only Republican elected to the 5th District of South Carolina up until 2010.
What?
And unfortunately, by 2010...
That's over 100 years.
And unfortunately, by 2010, that party had...
Yeah, a little...
So it's not really the same.
Which also, God fuck's sake, all the goddamn laws, they're not here. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows.
They didn't watch this. It's an episode about a black man becoming a congressman, Johnny. They did not watch this one.
I know. That's why I stopped it. You all get it. Everybody is still here. I love you. I love you so much. You're my favorite people, and
this man needs statues.
God,
this man needs
this
a proper
is
Hollywood movie that's not that there's anything wrong with Amazon Prime. It might be a great movie. I don't know. It hasn't come out yet. I mean,
the budget is probably going to be just as big or bigger as it would have been in Hollywood. But the fact that it took until now to talk about this, because this is literally
how do you not like the story of the Civil War career alone, like stealing a pirate ship.
Sit and listen to a number of biographies about a number of different people who did a number of different things. None of them
were the school.
Were like this.
No, this was a pretty cool one. The fact that he bought his slave's house, when I read that, I was like, holy fuck.
All the way out of here. That is, what the hell? That's the most badass thing you could possibly do as a former slave.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, it's short of
hiring him to be the butler at his own house, like that would have been,
right,
are you on hard times? Do you want to be my butler?
The only thing he could have done is then enslave his former owner.
Which wasn't legal
slavery. Then. Like that would have been it. But
he was elected to the South Carolina House of Representatives in '68, 3 years after the war's over.
I can't fathom that.
As a black man,
right? The first state that seceded. Maybe they were swinging the pendulum in the other direction a little bit.
It might have been.
Maybe, but. The right place to do it, because this guy's fucking amazing.
I'll even give him, like, all right, maybe he had the benefit of the doubt in 68 because, like, there's probably a lot of people they weren't letting vote, and there's probably a lot of, like, okay, so fine. But he's continued to be elected all the way through the 1880s. So by the 1880s, after Reconstruction's over, and after the Democrats have taken back control with violence, and the KKK's there with violence, he's still being elected.
Yeah, no, he was clearly, I'll bet he was handsome as hell.
He's not a bad-looking guy.
Do you have a picture? Can you put a picture up?
Yeah, it'll be
because in politics, I mean, always, but especially then, you get a picture. You get a good-looking dude. You're gonna vote for the good-looking dude, right? Like,
I mean, he's not. I mean, he's not a bad-looking dude.
Like, there's a reason why our current U.S. politicians don't look like this. We didn't get voted for political office.
But Johnny, how's Mitch McConnell in office then?
Well, he's not, right? Didn't he? Right?
Is he retired? I don't think he's retired. I think he's still in there. I think he's still there.
Did he not die yet?
I don't think he died. Nope. His turkey neck's still there. He's still kicking around
anyway,
for right now.
Look it up. That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. God damn it. I'm mad about some old dude being alive still now. I don't know. If you're here, why? First of all, go watch the shorts. That's what you really want. But for the 7 people who have stuck around because you like whatever the hell it is that we do or talk about, I appreciate you and I love you. And I want you to know that we'll be back next week. Until the entire country is destroyed through nuclear warfare based on some bad tweet that our president makes on True Social. We'll be here, and we will be talking about history in some capacity. Or not. It doesn't matter. You're not here anymore. I'm talking nobody... All right, I'll tell you what. If you watched it until this point, go ahead and comment the word... gabagool, and I will Venmo you $5. The first person to do it, because nobody fucking just drop your Venmo in the comments. I'll fucking do it. You're not watching this, and I know that, and it's okay. I love you. Goodbye.